Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar, which will be our last webinar before the summer break, and we will be going through trapezoidal roofing and all of the K2 products that we have on offer for PV on trapezoidal roofing. My name's Kyron. I work in our technical sales department here in Renningen in our headquarters, and I'll be going through some of the physical products. You might be able to see some of them in front of us before to give a bit of a demonstration of some of the differences. I have joined with me Vlado, who maybe you can give a bit of introduction of what you'll be doing today.
Yep, I will show you web page, product catalog, and how to design visual sheet our software kit.
Super. So maybe I should give you
Yep.
a bit of time to go prepare that, and we can just run through a little bit of housekeeping for today. So while I'm presenting, Vlad will be able to answer some questions that you might have. While he's presenting, I'll be able to do the same for him. If you do have these questions, we would really appreciate them in the Q&A section. So down the bottom of your Zoom, you'll see a Q&A button. Might be a different letter if you're in a different language, if your Zoom's in a different language. But if you put your questions in there, we can answer them directly, and we're going to avoid scrolling up and down the chat looking for answers and trying to follow conversation. So we'd really appreciate that. You've also should have seen a little survey that has just popped up. This helps us have a bit of understanding of who we're talking to today, and then we can focus the information a little bit better. So specifically to you. So if you do have time, please fill that out. We'll also have another one at the end, which is just a bit of feedback, but we'll go through that later. I think that's about all for the housekeeping. So Vlado, I'll pass over to you.
Yep. So we will start with our web page where I will show you some basic and useful information. So first of all, very important is this section location. So if you're not from Germany but from a different country, we have our locations in some other countries as well, for example, in France, United Kingdom, Italy, and so on. So if you're from this country and you want to send us a request or contact us, it's better to do it through location in your country because you will get an answer sooner as doing it through our main office in Germany. And you can also ask questions in your native language. Another important here part is our quality. Here on this page, you can find information about our certificates and also our guarantee terms. Also important here, news. Yeah, so you can find updates about products, digital solutions, and so on and so on. And our new topic here is sustainability, where you can find general information, basic information about how we are working with sustainability and some facts and so on. Mounting systems, yeah, it's already going to products. You will find our new products and also divided into different section our products and components. So today we are talking about trapezoidal metal sheet roofs. Trapezoidal metal sheet roofs are mainly pitched roofs. Yeah, here you will find our roof covering, trapezoidal sheet metal, and here you see already all our systems we use on this roof covering. But sometimes trapezoidal sheet metal are also flat roofs. And for this, we have a special solution, elevated systems on trapezoidal sheet metal. And you also can find them. Yeah, on clicking on them, you will find more information about them. Here are some basic descriptions, yeah, some advantages or highlights of the system, yeah, some videos, yeah, how to install it, and some explanation videos, and also here other information about it. So the next chart, the next part is digital services. So here you'll find links to our Doku app, K2 Body, our snow measuring system, My K2, K2 Base, and so on and so on. Knowledge and training center is very important if you are starting working with K2, if you are new. So you need some basic information, for example, where are the next webinars, when our next webinars, what is it about. So you can click on the webinars. You will find here an overview of our coming webinars. Also here, very important Keto training. So this is our section where you can learn a lot about our physical and our digital products. and at the end you can also make a test and get some medals, uh, gold, silver, and bronze, and so on. Tutorials, it's our saved short videos explaining a lot about our products or also our digital solutions. So here, for example, yeah. Um, FAQs, yeah, is usually, as you know, from different companies, from different products, yeah, and also our artificial intelligence, yeah, where you can ask some questions. Yeah, we still develop this one, so do not wonder if you are not getting an answer or not a proper answer. It will take time to teach our artificial intelligence to answer your questions. So let us proceed probably with Mikey 2. Yeah, you can go to Mikey 2 through two ways. Yeah, it's to select here Mikey 2 or by logging in. So here our Mikey 2. Here you can find some basic digital solutions. Also, some of them are not presented on our web page, so you will have to go to them through your Mikey 2. Yeah, for example, my price. It's our price estimator tool. So here you can put in some values of your system, models, and so on, and get an estimated price. My roof hook, self-explaining. So if you're having tile roof, so you can find here hook suitable for your tiles. My G2 training, Doku app, and so on and so on and so on. Uh, but also very important, it's our product catalog because here you can find information on the components. So let us select one of um, systems we use on the metal sheets, for example, Mineral MK2. So clicking on this one, you will get to components used in Mineral MK2. These are our rails MK2 and Mineral MK2 and our new one Mineral 60. This one is higher, yeah, for better ventilation and for installation of the motors. Here you find all components we use combination with Mineral. Also important here or useful here, clicking on the components, you will see the list price, and also you can download a data sheet of the product. Um, yeah, let's go back to the system. So K2, Mineral MK2. So here you'll also always find a short description with some technical details. Short. If you want more description, if you need, you're looking for assembly instructions or data sheets, please select downloads. And here you will find, for example, assembly instructions, checklists, and data sheets, not for all systems, but only for more complicated systems, for better systems. Checklists are also very important. So if you want to design something in K2 base, a project, and you don't have complete information, or if you don't know in advance which information you will need to design the project, you can just download our checklist and send it to your customer. Your customer will fill it, and then designing project in K2 base, you will see that you have all required information. So I believe that's all from my side. So, Karen,
Super. Thanks, Vlado.
will you continue, please?
Yes, absolutely. So, trapezoidal roofing today is the topic, and we are going to cover one side of two general, say, families that are used in trapezoidal roofing. So, one idea is you fix into the under construction, and one idea is you fixed into just the roof material, which you might be able to hear me clicking on. So, the roof sheeting. Today, we're only going to be focusing on products that are fixing into this roof sheeting. And so this brings up some different things that you got to be aware of. We also have products for the under construction version as well, but in this topic, we're just going to focus on the sheeting. So for our software that Vlad will go into later, you need to know a few things. This is also for the installation, and they are specifically to do with the material outer layer. We might be able to pull up a close-up of this shortly. Here we have a sandwich panel, but the idea is the same if there's a sandwich panel or no sandwich panel. So for some of the products that we sit on top of the sheeting, we need to know this distance, this thickness. This will have some impact on the water resistance of the system. We also need to know the thickness of the material and the type of the material. Usually it's stainless steel or aluminium. This will, or sorry, or steel or aluminium. This will have a role on the strength of the material. And we also need to know the distance between two adjacent crests. And we'll go into this a little bit later. Some of what we're talking about today is suitable for insulated panels or sandwich panels, as you have here, and some of them is more suitable for just corrugated roofing. So products that are more similar in maybe warmer places where the insulation isn't as strong, you might just have the metal, rolled metal. Um, yeah, and we'll go through that in a little bit detail in later, but everything that we're talking about today, the material properties is just important for the outside layer. And we're just going to be fixing into this outside layer, usually with some small screws. So in the product range we have for this system, we have long railed systems, which are a basic rail system. And this is a sample of a product that comes in 2 meters, 3 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters of length. And this extends along the roof. This is our basic rail. And we also have some samples of shorter rail systems. So our multi-rail system, these are not sort of hand samples, these are the products, and also our mini rail system. Right? And so some of the reasons you might choose to pick one of these could be to do with installation, could be to do with logistics. So obviously the shorter rail systems are easier to transport. A box of these can get you a 20 kilowatt system, no problems. However, the installation process is a little bit easier with the basic rails. So the decision is sort of up to you. If you'll see in the software later, there's a little star usually. This is a suggestion if you're unsure, but hopefully we can present the advantages of each system today, and then you can make that decision for yourself beforehand. So for all of the rail systems that we have, where they're clamped as well, so you see I'll just line them all up in front. They all have the same rail channel. Right. So this is what we call our K2 channel. And in this we have clamps, and I just did a bit of a sample of a mini clamp, sorry, a middle clamp that can be installed by turning. Right. And so the clamps, we have a range of clamps, but this one, for example, is from uh, 25 to 40 millimeters of frame. So it's suitable for most products on the market. If we have one that's very specifically larger or smaller, we have different clamps as well that work in a little bit different, but ideally you kind of get the idea. They come in black, they also come in silver. Now end clamp, once you do the software, or once you've done the software project, you will have all the clamps you need. I just want to show you what they are and kind of how they look like. So the installation for the shorter rail systems is quite, I would say, clear. You can see that these rails have holes in them, so you can just put these through. But I'm going to actually start with the other rail, the basic rail, and discuss this in a little bit more detail because it is what I would say a little bit unique in comparison to some other products on the market or other products that some of our competitors sell. And it is the one that is suitable for both the sandwich panels that I have here and trapezoidal sheeting in general. So the basic rail system actually doesn't have any holes in it, and it does not connect itself to the roof. It sits in a little stopper, I would say, called our basic clip. And you're going to be able to see these here, and these have the screws in them or the holes for them. And you see here, they're actually, I can show it from the side. I have to figure out which hand I'm looking at. They're a little bit asymmetric. They are asymmetric. It's absolute that one. And this allows us to install it quite easily, but also it has a cool functionality that it locks in the installation process. And we're just going to go through that in a little bit more detail on our sample that we have just next to me. So I've already installed one of the the rails, and this is kind of how it looks, where we have our basic clips fixed into the sheeting, and maybe you might need one on every second crest as we have here, or maybe you need one on every crest. You can add more or less, obviously, depending on the statics. You'll get this from the base report. These are then screwed into the sheeting, and because they are asymmetric, the rail just slides in. And here we have three. Klaus, if you can maybe just zoom out a little bit. So we have three of these installed. Generally speaking, you only have the outside two at the very beginning, which makes it a little bit easier even. But our rail is going to sit or push up into the first part of the, or the higher part of the basic clip. And then as it pulls down, maybe we can have a little cross section of this as well. Yeah, I think we'll come over here. The top part up here actually locks it off. Right, so once to install it, it's going to slide in like this, right, and then you're going to slide it back down, and it's just locked at the top and locked at the bottom as well. Right, so this has quite a few advantages actually. That, as we said, this installation process of just sliding it up and down is quite easy, but we can also, or we have then the issue that in theory you could say, hey, no, it's still going to move up, but this is really easily solved by putting one of them the other way around. And you'll see here, one has, well, they actually both have little K2 on them. So next to my thumb, there's a little K2. It's very faint, but down here, we also have a little K2. And so for the first ones that we install, we put the K2 facing up so you can read it. And then for every third or fourth one, we can actually put them in a little bit differently. And you can see how easy that was to just slide on. Now what we're going to do is just slide it in, and then we can screw that in like that. And so once this is screwed in, this specific basic clip here is stopping it moving up the roof, and all of the other ones are stopping it moving down the roof. Right. There is also the topic of thermal expansion. So as this rail heats up, it's going to heat up at a different rate to the roofing material and to the clamps and to the screws and everything else. And if this rail was connected directly to the sheeting, any expansion or contraction is being put directly into the sheeting. Right? But when we have the rail sitting into these little basic clips, the expansion and contraction allows the rail to slightly move. And maybe Klaus, can you just jump down one of the ends so we can actually see that it's moving? I mean, this is a very extreme example, but it allows it to slide through the system, right? You might think, all right, well, it could then wander down the roof and effectively come off at some point in time. So to combat this, we also then have a little locking system, which sits in with our MK2. You can put this over or put this just on top of the basic clip. And we tighten this as long as it's in line. And I'm just going to sort of finger tighten this here. But once that's secure, everything this side of the rail could expand out and contract back in, but it's not going to move the whole rail, and everything from this side of the rail, it could expand towards me and then contract back in as well. So this system does the least damage, or that's probably a bit of a harsh term, but it has the least impact on the trapezoidal roofing. Right? All other systems, and this is not just the trapezoidal roofing, but with all other projects, you will have an impact on the building. Right? The building's not really designed to have PV on it. This PV has been developed a lot later than buildings as a whole. So how do we limit that impact of the building? And this is a really good way to ensure that the impact of your PV onto the roof is minimized. So once we've got all this in, we can then put our clamps on and our panels on. And I showed you some of the panels before, sorry, the clamps before, but they just turn with a little bit of force. We can put our end clamps on, putting our middle clamps in as well. And our panels can then just sit on top. Right. And I can just tighten one of these on. And all of the torque that you need for information like this, or the torque that you might need for the basic, for the basic lock, you'll find all of this in the assembly instructions. You'll see here, this is now sort of pulled down, and this is because this is a middle clamp, and we obviously don't have the second panel that we would like to have there, but that's going to pull down as well. What's also cool about, I would say, some of the later clamps that we have, they've been assembled at a 35 mil height, I believe. So you don't have to drill them or screw them down as so much. Initially, they were coming totally unwound, I guess, which meant it's just a little thing, but every time you have to go down and screw this the whole way in, you're taking up time, you're making your installation a little bit longer. So I think the latest bunch of the clamps as well are coming sort of pre-wound, already down to that 30, 35 millimeters, makes the installation just even that little bit quicker. And so this is, as I said before, this is sort of our basic rail system, and it is one of the first systems that we had for trapezoidal roofing. And if you in any doubt whatsoever, that's the kind of the one to go to. As I said before, it comes in longer lengths. If you would like to extend them even further, they can be done so with a little connector as well. So from the top, there's just a couple of screws that are sitting in here that go through. And so here you can extend, for example, you've bought maybe 2.95 meter lengths of rail and you want to extend it up to 6 or 7 meters. You can add a few of these rails together and with something like this, and that's just going to extend along the roof. So to compare our basic rail system with some of the other systems we have, I think the easiest one to look at is the mini rail system, which is effectively a shorter basic rail. It sits the same way on the roof. It looks a slightly bit different from the side. It's a little bit wider. It's got a higher undercarriage, I guess you would call it. But looking from the side, it's quite similar. Obviously, it has the pre-drill holes in it. And these are just going to sit across the crests. And we'll jump back over, have a look at what that means. And so they're going to sit between two crests, and you have a range of different holes that allows you to align the holes with the crests. Obviously, a disadvantage or a point to be considered is that if you have quite wide crests here, so over, I think it's 38 centimeters, you're not able to use these holes, right? But other than that, it's effectively just a shorter system that comes, and you would get this product along with the screws for it, and you can just screw directly into the roofing where you would put the clamps. So effectively you'd have one here, and probably then, I mean, we have a small clamp here, so you could just have one here as well, and then put the clamping on that. This rail, sorry, I'll put it back down, can be used in the portrait and landscape for the panels, similar with the basic rail. So there is a bit of flexibility there as well. With the other system we have, which is the multi-rail system, it can only be done in landscape. Right? So the multi-rail, we have two versions of it. We actually we're about to have three versions of it, but right now we have two. So the multi-rail 10, which is 10 centimeters long, and the multi-rail 25, which is, you guessed it, 25 centimeters long. One with 4 screws and one with 2 screws. Depending on how much wind you have at the project or on your roof, you might get away with just using 2 screws. However, in most cases, and for ease of installation, the 25 or the longer one is a little bit more recommended in some cases. And so these rails sit on the crests, right? And depending on the one we'll need, they are then just screwed into the system or into the roofing system. And on this, we will put our clamps exactly the same as we had done before, and then our panels will go sort of up the roof in a landscape option, right? So they're just sort of some points to be aware. If you're really kind of technical about it, this is a much stronger version. So this version has 4 screws, and the way we set it up is the clamp will always sit in the middle. So if I have maybe I can just grab a clamp as well. Because we have the flexibility of placing it here or placing it here or anywhere else along the roof, the way we try and set the system up is that you will have the clamp right in the middle. Half of your module's load is going to come on the top, half on the bottom, and so the 4 screws are all being used. With the mini rail system, which we had before, you're limited by where you can place the rail. And so our rail can sit here, or our rail can sit sort of here. We have no way of moving it in relation to our clamp. And if our clamp had to be here, because our modules are all working along, our module sits here, our module sits there. This mini rail is only really being held by these 2 screws on this side, right? So you're not going to see this in too many cases, but if you have a situation where you have high winds or maybe on the corner areas of your roof, you might have a situation where your mini rail is overloaded because you're using 2 screws, which are fixed here, holding this clamp effectively, but you use the multi-rail, and the multi-rail always has the 2 screws on the top and the 2 screws on the bottom holding the rail in. So you might be kind of forced into using a multi-rail if you are determined on using a short rail, but have high winds, or if you have quite thin material of the sheeting. So this one, this is probably not the best sort of example of what it looks like here, but our thickness of this material is paramount to determining how strong it is, right? So the quality of the material, type of material, and the thickness. So if you have a quite thin sheet, again, you might be in this situation where you have to use the multi-rail. So all of the products that we have spoken about so far have been roof parallel systems, which sit, as you've seen, 2 to 3 centimeters off the trapezoidal roofing. These have been around for between 5 and 10 years, most of them, some of them even longer. And in the last 5 years or so, there's been a bit of a push for some advantages or different systems that have different advantages, really. And so some of them are with the use of optimizers, where you need a little bit more space between the bottom of the panel and the roofing. So one way to do that is to use our mini rail 60, which is effectively just a mini rail, but with a slightly higher geometry. And the 60 represents the height of it. With most of the names that with K2 products, you get an idea of what they mean based on the number that's in them. So the mini rail 60 millimeters high, the multi rail 25 centimeters long. They've all got a little bit of reason behind them. There is also some products that can be used on all of the ones we've spoken about today. So the mini rail, the multi rail, the basic rail, and then one of them is the rail up, which sits just on top of the rail, similar purpose effectively to get a little bit of more space underneath the panel into the roof. And these are just fixed with a MK2. So again, the MK2 going to sit on our rail up can sit on that, and we tighten it from above. You can then just put the clamps in on top of that, and effectively it's the same thing. We're just getting a little bit of extra height on that. We also have a few products that are suitable for extra inclination. All right, so we've got the elevation for the optimizers or just for some ventilation. But we also have inclination, which is sort of sometimes wanted if you have a very very low slanted roof, or maybe the roof is north facing and you would like to bring it back up a little bit. And the first one is the Mini 5-degree inclination, again with the numbers. And that effectively sits just in the mini rail. We don't have two mini rails, I don't think. We have a second one. But I can demonstrate it with the multi-rail to tell you the truth. We do have a second mini rail. And so these just slide into the mini rail. We can secure them by putting a MK2 on both sides and a long bolt that kind of pulls. Generally speaking, we want to pull the basic clip up, but in this case, sorry, not the basic clip, the MK2 up into the rail channel, but in this case, we're just going to push it down. So we can put long bolts in here and this holds it in. And then we just have effectively a high end and a low end, and exactly the same, our clamps are going to sit into that. Right? So all of this is plannable in the K2-based software when you do a pitched roof solution. And so these are for inclination in the roof direction. Right? As Vlado said at the beginning, sometimes you have quite flat roofs with the trapezoidal options. And for that, we actually have a combination of our dome system, which is a flat roof topic, which is not really the topic for today, but as it's now part of it, it works out quite well actually. And we can get extra inclination, so up to 10 degrees, actually even up to 15 degrees in some cases, perpendicular to the roof using our basic rail. And we're going to jump over and just have a quick look. So using the basic rail, which is the system we use for all of our flat roofs, and potentially we have this roof facing east, and we would like it to be elevated to the south. So to think about that for a second, we can put our peaks in and our SDs. Sorry, a second. And we can put our modules on top of this, right? And we're not going to go into this in so much detail because, as I said, this is covered in our flat roof webinars, but the inclination of our panels can be propped up to face perpendicular to the roof slope. There is also an option of using this in combination with the multi-rail. So not the multi-rail 10, but always the multi-rail 25, and I'll just grab one of them. So here it is going to get a little bit crowded, sorry, with everything that's on the roof, but say we have maybe a 1 degree roof slope south and we want it a little bit more, we can use our multi-rail and put our peak in on the top part. On the bottom, we'll put our multi-rail and we'll put our SD at the bottom, and then we can elevate our modules from the roof up towards the sun. Right? So all of this is plannable in base as well. However, just be aware it's in the flat roof section, because generally speaking, our flat roofs require the extra elevation, and the pitched roofs, we're quite happy to use the existing elevation of the roof as well. You'll generally need more fixings or more supports for the elevated options. As the more space you have, the more airflow that's going to come through, and if there is any sort of extreme winds, they have then a stronger force on the uplift away from the roof. While we're just on these sort of elevated systems, if you do know the general Dome 6 products, they're usually ballasted. With this setup, there's no ballast needed. That's yeah, a bit of an advantage that you have with the roofing like this. So probably one more thing before I pass back over to Vlado. The multi-rail actually comes in two versions, and one of them is a little bit rounded down the bottom, and this is for corrugated roof sheeting. So seam or rolled metal, whether it be trapezoidal or corrugated or even seamed, often comes in different forms. One of them is a corrugation, and you can see here the differences. On the outside too, we have a rounded bottom of the rails. If we compare them, you can see them here. And so if you do have a corrugated metal sheet, this is not cement fiber, but just a metal sheeting, we can also use the multi-rail for this. It's also got the EPDM on it, which is helping with the water resistance. And it functions effectively the same way as the regular multi-rail. And you can do everything the same with it as well, with the rail up or with the extra inclination. All of this is possible with the multi-rail version. Um, that's probably then about it for this part. But was there any questions that had come up that we could go through? All right, well then I might pass over to you, and we can go from there.
Yep. Designing your project in base. So maybe we will start, save it, start from this start page of the key to base. So here there are some buttons important. So here, clicking on it, you will create a new project. Here you can open project from Docker app, open project from a file. So if someone send you K2O file, to create K2O file, you have to click on this download button, then you will get a special file. You can send it per email, and your colleague or employee can open it through this section, open project from a file. Here's also important to select which projects you want to be displayed here. So here, my project means it's a project designed by me, you. Company projects, here will be all projects designed by you and your colleagues. Shared with me, it's a project which shared with you, shared by me. Yeah. Also, attending here, project and planning, completed and realized. Project. Uh, so, starting a new project, you will have to put here the address or coordinates. It's up to you what to put here in. Project name. Here, design method is usually pre-selected. If it's not, you have to choose between the norm of your country. Yeah, for example, this one is norm in Slovenia because we are somewhere in Ljubljana, close to Ljubljana. Here you put in author, name of the customer, contact person if you want. So, but you also can leave these fields empty. Important here, most important part here is the address. Why is it important? Because loads are calculated automatically. And here you will need to fill only the fields which are marked as red. So it's our failure consequence class. If you don't know what does it mean, you just click on the question mark and you will get description. Yeah? So you can read it and then select correct one. Design working life. Again, if you don't know what does it mean, question mark. So for PV structures, 25 years are usually uh, usual selection here because you don't need 50 years. So only if you really want it or if you want to get additional security for your PV installation. Terrain category, probably the most important part here. We'll also see it here, how to select it. Basically, you have to scroll down from the selected point, just check what type of terrain category is it. This is something between 2 and 3, I would say. So in case of doubt, please select a lower terrain category. So we will select 2 in this case. And here, terrain, yeah, also click on it. We will understand what does it mean. So here's, I would say, open terrain. Yeah. Let us proceed to the building. So here are our nice trapezoidal metal sheet buildings. You can see that all of them or most of them are pitched. Yeah? And you have here options for pitched roofs, mono pitch, cable roof, hip roof, half hip roof. So here we have cable roofs. So please select this one because here's the difference in static calculation between cable roof and mono pitch. So it's really you need to pay attention, select correct one. Then you select your roof covering, trapezoidal in this case. Click on it and you start drawing your roof. Please start it from the if. Show you why because if top, yeah, because if you're putting here roof height, roof pitch 15 degree, we will see that here appears our arrow showing roof pitch direction, and the arrow is showing always to the edge you designed first. So if you start with if, you will get the arrow here. If you made a mistake and started somewhere else from the edge or from the reach, you can also select it here, change it here. See, click twice, you will get roof pitch direction in another way. Yeah. So for gable roofs, yeah, we, we draw always two parts of roof. Yeah, this is our one roof. Here on the second part will be another roof. We can draw this one as well. Or here's just a trick: just copy one roof. Know that the roof is the same. It's only the second half. Just uh, just roof pitch direction. So you have now your complete roof. Here's already pre-selected trapezoidal and fastening metal roof cover because, as Karen mentioned, we have also systems for fastening roof construction. Here is very important your crest distance. It's always important to put here right values, correct values, because our system calculates, for example, distance between the crests for mini rail, because it's not always possible to install mini rail. As Karen showed you, for example, if the crest's distance is too wide or if it's too slow because you have already pre-drilled holes, the holes must sit on the crest. Here you select material. Yeah, we will do it steel. Most of those are steel. Yeah, sheet thickness also very important because we calculate uh, how our screws will hold the system. So the sheet thickness here is most important factor. Also the sheet quality. So here you will see the values for roof, yeah, wind loads and snow loads. Here you can draw obstacles if you have them. So here I believe you have no obstacles, but just as a sample, you can draw here a rectangle obstacle. So anything else, okay, draw it again with correct roof. This obstacle you can also bigger, make it smaller. Obstacle. If you want to adjust it to exact size, you switch to TD view. Here you can also put in values, 3 meters for length, 4 meters for height. Now we have it correct way, and you can also already move it roof correct direction. Let us proceed with. So here you have to select model you will use in your project. You can select from our basis of models, for example, Jinko models. Here, I believe all of them, or almost all of them. Just select model you have. Oh, this one, and these fields will be filled automatically. If you're trying to find your model and you are unable to do it, just click on user defined. Here you can put in the values of your model, manufacturer, name, also length, width, and so on. So just adjust it. page. So here you can adjust the length. Next step, you will select system you will use on your roof. So here's our mini 5. It means mini rail with 5-degree inclination. Here's mini rail, basic rail, multi rail, and some insertion systems. So maybe let us start mini rail MK2. So here you have option to select between portrait and landscape models because, as Karen said, you can install both with mini rail. We recommend for mini rail portrait installation because for landscape maybe multi rail is more suitable. Why? Because you will clamp your models with multi-rail on the long side from the bottom, and with mini rail you will clamp your models in landscape orientation on the side, so on the short side. Well, what is not always recommended or approved by a model manufacturer. So let us design our model field. This here you can again select the system, or you can select different system, select orientation of the models, distance, and so on and so on. Here you can select clamps. At the moment, our K2 clamp end clamp is we have only in black. Therefore, here's black uh, is, uh, is great. So you can select here anything. But if you will adjust clamp, for example, for one mid, one end, you have a choice between black clamp and silver clamp. Proceed. So here you can adjust or add thermal gap. So maybe let us make this model a bit bigger so we get thermal cut. So here's our thermal cut. When the thermal cuts are to place, the best way to find it out, check our assembly instructions because for different systems we have different distances where thermal cut is to place. For our short rail systems, here's a bigger distance because yeah, these are short rails and they do not extend on the value of our long rails. Yeah.
On that, Vlado, this is a really maybe good tool that we could also use for like maintenance walkways as well, because often like, in the situation that you have here, which I think is what uh, you've got two modules in the middle where you're not going to be able to actually access unless there's some form of gap. You can use this thermal separation um, to allow access to it. So it has different purposes as well. The maximum value is just what we've put in, but it's also while you're planning, you can use this tool to make this planning process as easy as possible, if you want. Yeah.
Here in this section, you can adjust thermal cuts or add them, so on and so on. So here you can also put this one in the middle of the model field. Probably again, let's move to the middle of the model field. Yep, nice model field. If you want, you can also this one bigger. Under results, you will our software checking your system. So here's everything is verified, everything is good, everything is in order. Nice. So that means that you can install the system as designed. Um, Here you can also add some components, for example, rail up for additional elevation of the model, for better ventilation, terraglyph for potential connection, cable management, optimizing, so on and so on. So you will add them, you will see them in your bill of material. For example, here's our terraglyph for potential bonding is here. Uh, Also under results, you can check loads on the models, uh, especially if you're clamping your models on the short side. It's very important to check assembly instructions of the model manufacturer, what loads are allowed for clamping on the short side, so you can compare them with the loads calculated in our software. In here, you will find utilization of single components. Here's our fastener, that means our screws, uh, our rails, clamps, and so on. So going back to the summary, so here you can see bill of material. calculated. Calculated. Here you have your bill of material. You can create here or generate here reports. Uh, Here many options you can select or deselect. Usually we generate complete reports, so but here are some sections. For example, structure analysis is probably for static engineer, not for everyone. Yeah, bill of material, results, assembly plan, and so on and so on. That is generated. Maybe check it short. You will get like information project. Here's contents. Yeah, so you can switch directly to required part. Or you can scroll down. You will find again more information about the project. Here's satellite view, roof size, and your models. Yeah, here you will get which models you used, which system. You can also click on it. You will be forwarded to product catalog. Again, um, here's the number of the models and total power. Assembly. Yeah, so here you will see where to put the models, some distances, and so on and so on. Distance to the roof edge, reach, if, so on and so on. And here already starting with some static values for loads on models, loads on our components. And here in statical structural analysis report part, you will get much more static values, static information in bill of material. The design. Second one, uh, in distance and select material. With aluminum, not so strong. And let us design our basic rail system with long rails, with landscape models. You will start here, each the edge of the roof forward. So here you will see that you have to put thermal cuts much closer to each other because it's a long rail. It will extend much more than hot rail. Here we have two layer systems. Let's two layer system. Base is calculating too long for you. Just click on this refresh button so it will go much faster. You are coming to results, and here you will see our black points. That's our basic clips. Uh, Here, in some roof areas, you will see here our red roof area and yellow roof area. You will get much more basic clips. So it's also for this reason it's important to put in correct value of crest distance because base is calculating where to put the basic clips. For example, if here the crest distance would be much bigger, probably the system will not be verified. Now it's verified. You can check here load on fasteners. See, it's more higher. The reason for this it's aluminum, not steel, because aluminum cannot take so many loads as steel. Uh, it's like most important part for calculation of the screws because if here the system will be verified on fastener, that means not that screw will not hold the system. It means that roof covering will not hold the screw. Here you can select the rail you want to use. The red one are already discontinued, so we don't deliver them anymore. If your distributor have them, you can still buy them, or you just select black rails which we have in stock. And here again, you can add some components, and the last page you can see bill of materials or create bill of material here. Yeah, on click this one, you will get Excel file with your components, prices, and so on. Yeah. Also put it here, you can create a TED file with your project, export your project to Docker app, to one of inverters designs, and also directly to wholesaler shop. So if you have a partner, if you're logged in the web shop of your partner, you can also click on it. Your bill of material will be forwarded directly to your distributor. Yeah, you can just order the components from them. If we're running out of time, so we will stop it here. If you will get any questions designing the project, or maybe let me move to Karen. So if you will get any questions designing your project or something else, just send them to us. Klaus maybe can put here our
Oh,
email address, so we will get your emails and process them, and you will get a reply
um,
right.
yeah, absolutely. And I think just some of the points we didn't get to talk about today in a bit more detail. A lot of those optional extras that Vlado was talking about in terms of lightning protection, eco-potential bonding, stair plate for the optimizers. We have lots of videos on our YouTube channel, which has these components in a lot more detail. So if you're interested in a product, you can, yeah, probably the YouTube channel is the best way to go. If then you can email us as well and get some of that information. Also, the Docu app that was mentioned at the right at the very end. So this is um, another online portal or software that you can document all of the processes around your installation, not just the PV under construction. But one of the advantages of using this is that you can get a 20-year warranty instead of a 12-year warranty on the K2 components of your PV installation. So once you've exported that project from the base software to this other software, you can generate a report, and in that there is a certificate or documentation that has the 20-year warranty as well. I think that's probably enough
Yeah.
that we've covered. I think we'll pop up a little survey as well shortly, just to, again, as I said, a little bit of feedback, because that helps us know a little bit more about what we can do for next time. Next time will be sometime in the future. I'm not exactly sure if we've got a date set yet, but we're going to have a bit of a summer break now. So probably in 8 to 10 weeks, we'll be back with hopefully some new topics, some things that are a little bit different. And if you've been around K2 for a little while, you know that a lot can change in 12 weeks. So base, I'm sure there'll be some base updates, maybe some product updates, and who knows, it could be personnel updates. Who knows? We'll figure it out. Oh, okay. So we might have one. Yeah, just heard there might be one in about a month with a combination with Seeker, one of the major roofing manufacturers. So if you're interested, just stay tuned to that. Okay, I think I'm rambling. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. An hour of your time is a lot. We appreciate it. Leto, thanks. Klaus makes the magic happen. Thanks, Klaus. And thanks for you for joining. Until next time, see ya.
Bye bye.